Hey everybody, welcome back to Collector's Haven. I'm Mike Pingel, your host and a collector. I am excited to welcome TJ into the house. TJ, welcome to the Haven, and I am so excited to see your collection. He lives in the Bay Area. He is in healthcare, and he is in touch with his inner child as he collects pop culture loose figures like these.
Yay, I have those very too, as a matter of fact. Hi, Mike. I'm excited to be here.
Hi.
With Chris and Kelly. Yay.
Sorry,
It's Chris, right?
I forgot you were in the room because Chris and Kelly were here.
They take over. When they're in the room, they take over.
Well, you know, Chris is wearing Sabrina's peasantry outfit, and her hair is a little, I don't know what's going on with that.
It's the Chris hair.
There's a lot of stuff. And then, you know, Kelly has her little headset on from the van. And
from the van. That's a rare piece.
Yeah, it plugs into the van thing. That's what the little plug is. We're there.
The Sabrina peasant dress cracks me up because I always joked about this from, and I'm like, can you imagine what Kate Jackson would have said if they tried to make her wear something like that in an episode?
Well, I think she probably would wear this.
Really?
Well, yeah, you know, Circus of Terror Part 2. And she could be running around trying to find a chicken.
Fair enough. Okay, I stand corrected.
Ask me, I can make anything up on Charlie's Angels.
I love it. You should have been a writer for them.
I should have helped him on the movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, the TV series. I mean, TJ, I could talk about all day, but I'm not going to talk about it. It's about you. It's not about
we'll get back to that. Thanks, Mike, for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is a thrill for me. I've followed you for a long time.
Well, thank you. I thought I had a stalker.
Well, yeah. Were you the one that sent the lawyer? I'm not really sure at this point. But
No. I'm the one who sent the flowers. Who's stalking me.
I tried to have a stalker, but they told me to leave him alone.
Oh, I've had one of those. We're not going to talk about that right now. That's a whole nother. That's the after show.
The clips, the outtakes. That's what the outtakes.
So what do you collect? I mentioned that you collect loose pop culture, but is there specifically items that you collect, or what is in your genre of collection?
You know, it's really evolved over the years. So it started with Bionics, $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, kind of like I happen to have a prop. Like this guy right here was actually, pieces of him are from the very first figure I got in 1990 in a little vintage store. And I couldn't, like if I were in New York City right now, I couldn't find it, but it was a vintage store in the East Village. And I was in grad school in New York, and we were just walking around and I saw him and a Jamie Summers figure, just loose, standing up on a shelf somewhere. And it took me right back to the 8-year-old in me that had one of the coolest Christmases ever when I got a ton of $6 Million Man stuff. My favorite shows to this day, the $6 Million Man, the Bionic Woman, right up there with Charlie's Angels and Wonder Woman, or to round out the top 4. But so I was like, I'm just going to buy them. And I did, and I brought them home. So pieces of him are here. I'll show you a few in a few minutes, but I've repurposed a bunch. You know, you can see through, I don't know if this will show, but you can look through his head, and it'll allegedly make you see far. He will raise up his engine block. So he's really fun. But it started a wave of collecting for me, and it's evolved. So I'm super obsessive, and so it started with that. And I was collecting just exclusively Bionics and getting things in the box, and I was a nervous wreck. I mean, you're a collector, you understand. Yes. When you get things in the box, you're a nervous wreck all the time, right? So it's like, I moved once and got like a ding in one of the corners, and I was like on a fainting couch for 2 days. It was that. So I was like, I'm not having fun with this. But he and the loose Jamie and things like that are what I was having fun with. And so I was kind of poor too right after moving to San Francisco. So I sold off a lot of the Bionic stuff and was like, I'm going to focus on loose, fun things. And so I got like a Steve, a couple more Jamies, an Oscar Goldman. I started really just getting loose pieces. And it wasn't long before I was like, okay, I now have all the Bionic figures. And this was before like the early 2000s when they were releasing more or I went full nuts obsessed. And I forget exactly how, but maybe on eBay or a friend turned me onto it, but there was the 4 loose Hasbro Charlie's Angels up for sale, and they came with a box of clothes. I should have pulled out the box of clothes because you would find some of them hysterical, but like some were handmade, like somebody had handmade little clothes, but there were also some of the official released outfits. And I was like, oh, these are cool. So I bought them. And then, of course, in my obsessive mind, I was like, I have to collect something around it. So I decided, and I think eBay, I was really starting to get into eBay. As we all know, when that first starts, it's dangerous.
It is.
And I was like, oh, so now I'm going to do collectibles from TV shows. And so came Charlie's Angels, kicked that off, so I blame them. And then it was like Donnie Marie came, Sonny and Cher, Happy Days Kids, Starsky. So you started to get all those because there was stuff from the 70s. There was really a lot of merchandising.
Yeah.
And then kind of coherent to that, and this is really long, I'm sorry, but
No, go. Tell me.
Yeah. So Charlie's Angels kicked off this whole thing of TV star figures, and there was a lot of really neat ones. Laverne and Shirley, Sonny and Cher, Donnie Marie is a hoot, and a few that I didn't love, but I was collecting them anyway. And then right around that same time, Wonder Woman crept into my consciousness as well. And of course, obsessed with Linda Carter and the 70s TV show, but there wasn't a lot out there, especially around Linda Carter. There was the one Mego, which was very pricey and didn't look like her. I did finally get her, and I'll show you in a bit. But not much else, really. And a lot of it was very comic focused. So I, like a good collector, went aggro obsessive and was like, I must have everything. And any loose Wonder Woman figure I was snapping up. Mostly the 7-inch kind of genre, and was also getting a little bit into statues, which is a dangerous wormhole to go down because they're really expensive. And again, I was back to my nervous, I live in the Bay Area. An earthquake is a very real possibility, and I really didn't want to see, a bunch of statuary flopping around and shattering onto the ground. So I had another big moment in my life where I was like, I'm going to refocus my collection yet again. And I was like, I'm going to do just things I really love. And so I got rid of some of the Wonder Woman stuff, really focused on the beautiful things. And same with some of the TV show stuff. I got rid of some and was still doing Bionics. Bionics had a bit of a resurgence. The $6 Million Man license was getting resold. And so new toys were being released probably around the early 2000s. And they also did the big Time Life DVD set for the $6 Million Man, and Bionic Woman followed. Problem was they sold the Bionic Woman license for that unfortunate remake they tried to make in 2007.
It was a little dark. It was wasn't.
It was dark.
Horrible.
And it wasn't.
That is Charlie's Angels. So
yeah, had they named her anything but Jamie Summers, I would have liked the show. But I think because they used that name, they kind of tried to refocus the character. Plus, it tied up her license, and so they were making $6 Million Man and related toys, and you'll see that when I show you, but very little Bionic Woman beyond the counter. So that was all happening, but I kind of got quiet a little bit, and then the company Mego relaunched in 2018.
Yep.
As you know, I've seen you review some of the, and I do air quotes, Charlie's Angels figures, because you'll see I have them, but they're going to be repurposed, as I'll talk about. But they were doing that first wave in Target. That's what brought them back as exclusive. They were doing some TV show stuff, and my completionist kicked off. I'm like, ooh, TV show characters, let me buy them. Even if I didn't necessarily want them or think they were any good. And but what it did, and I'm sorry this is so long, it's just such a crazy journey.
No, it's great. You're answering all my questions in this whole thing. Go ahead.
Good. So what it did, though, is part of the first wave was Wonder Woman. So they did a 14-inch Wonder Woman figure, which you'll see. And then I got like the Kelly Garrett, which didn't look anything like Jacqueline Smith. You'll see what I did to that dolly, too. It's kind of fun. And I know they'll look at your face like, what did you do? Nothing weird, I promise. It's G-rated. And
you can't do any worse than I love what they did. I just wish they took some time with some of the I mean, they did really great things with the horse stuff and some of the other characters, but some of the mainstream TV characters, I don't know if they lost their will to create or what, but I just felt like they didn't spend too much time on them.
Well, I follow some of it in the Amigo groups on Facebook, and the guys who actually own the company explained they couldn't get image rights to a lot of them.
Yeah.
So that's why Charlie's Angels doesn't look anything like them, because they got the license for the names, but not the actresses. That's why
I know all those kind of things. They kind of done a little closer to,
Sure. Like Chris, they were close.
They could have made Sabrina look like a woman. I mean, somewhere near some kind of woman features.
We're going to see that, by the way, audience. We have that one.
And they could even, looked at the clothing and tried to emulate some of the stuff. I mean, it's just it was. Anyway.
Ironically, the one that they did try to do the clothing on, Sabrina, is the most unattractive. She actually wore the outfit in an early episode. But the rest, you're right. Like, she did with the red vest. Yeah, I'll find the picture and I'll send it to you at some point.
I don't know.
It's not your typical Sabrina outfit. It was like one of the really, really earliest episodes. I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know if I can have you on my show anymore because I'm
click. And it's a wrap.
That's done. Good to talk to you.
Excellent. We're going to put that in the can. But what it inspired, the Migo thing, which was kind of cool, is you're right. The TV show didn't really click with me. I was like, The ones that were good were redos, like Fonzie. They had already done it. And but so I was like, this isn't working for me. And then the second wave came out, and there was a 14-inch Superman.
Yeah, those are
really
cool.
He was awesome. And so I just went obsessive on Superman, and that's actually become kind of my latest thing, because there's only so much with Bionics, although a lot more custom work is coming up through that, which you'll see some cool examples. But I was just inspired by Superman and thought, I'm going to start collecting loose Superman figures, and that's become the last 3 years. And I'm looking around, I've done a few dozen Superman. So it's he's really a great. He's a very what's the word I'm looking? He's like an artistic type of character that can be rendered while in action figure form, and everything from the super lifelike Henry Cavill, Christopher Reeve Hot Toys to Migo and it's just a very distinct. I think to your point earlier with some of the TV show ones, if they don't have like a very distinct costume, or you don't have a dead-on likeness, it becomes a bit of a stretch, and also depending on how they're articulated and what you can do with them. Like, it's like the Migo fashion dolls, like Cher and those. They don't do much. Like their arms don't bend. So you're kind of like, other than just stand there and look pretty. And the Farah doll, I don't love the Farah doll. I love Farah. I don't love that doll, but they did a better one, which I have. But it's just hard to do much. Whereas when there's a costume or there's a very distinct look, it becomes a little more iconic.
Exactly. So, what in your collection, is it the $6 Million Man is the number one, or is now Superman coming number one, or is there another loose character that is your favorite character in your collection?
So I think my heart will always belong to the $6 Million Man. / the Bionic Woman. By the way, so I just think of the $6 Million Man Bionic Woman as one TV show. Just that's just it kind of is. And then they did reunion moves. So that's kind of my number one. Although I don't have a lot of Bionic Woman yet, obviously, because they haven't done much. But that's probably like number one in my heart. But volume wise, I'm going with Superman at this point, because it's really taking off, so to speak. And I think there's a lot more options. Obviously out there. I think especially as the $6 Million Man gets older, the market's really drying up, and so now we're just really seeing collectibles for $6 Million Man collectors, if that makes sense. So it's like limited. Like I have a couple pieces, which will be the first thing we'll look at, are like super limited run realistic figures that were done, but only for a small group. And as we age out, I don't think a new generation is discovering it as much as they could.
No, and they've talked about a $6 million movie for I don't know how long. So I mean,
With Mark Wahlberg, yeah, we'll see if that.
So we'll see.
He allegedly starts filming it this year, so we'll see.
So we'll see. That would be a great thing.
I hope so, because it could revive the. It could be revive
Good.
the.
Or they could just kill like they
sitting
killed Charlie's Angels. So who knows?
Oh, so did you hate the Charlie's Angels movie that much? The last one.
What? Yes.
Yeah, the brand new one. Yeah, I wanted to like it, and I thought conceptually it had some potential, and I did love the thing at the end where Kelly turned out to be Charlie. But other than that, you're right.
Well, they don't even say that. They're like, it might be, and I'm like, okay, first off.
Okay, I needed something, Mike. I needed something from that movie that I loved.
Yeah, no. When we get off, I will tell you all about my thoughts about Charlie's Angels.
Okay, cool.
Anybody out there who wants to know it, they can look at charliesangels.com. I did do a review of the movie step by step, and it's not pretty. But
nice. All right, enough about that, I guess.
Let's look at your collection. Get me up.
All right.
TJ,
so let's see. I'm a bad person. Okay, let me see if I can get to. I'm gonna try not to be too jerky, and I'm gonna change the orientation so people don't have to look at me anymore. So okay, and we're gonna start with my. We're gonna start with Bionics because, as I said, this was my first love, and this is just. And I'm trying to see the screen. It is just a couple of pieces I put in I just got this Detolf, I hope I'm saying it right, case finally. I know collectors are like clutching their pearls, like you should have had one of those forever ago.
Oh, I should have had one forever ago.
Right?
Too. And your image looks great. I just want to let you know. Cool.
So I decided to only devote one shelf to $6 Million Man, which, because there aren't a lot of these, but these, so this guy right here in the hunter outfit, the screen is mirrored. And the guy in the red tracksuit, those are from a really small company called Super Mad Toys. And they do really lifelike sculpts, as you can see. And it's really quite beautiful. It looks just like him. I love the hairy chest. Really high quality clothes. This is his most iconic look. He wore that outfit in many, many episodes, complete with the bracelet. I don't know if I'm sorry, it's a mirror, so forgive me if I'm jerking around too much. It is the bracelet as well as the multicolored khaki suit. And to avoid licensing, I laugh. They call it the 6 million Bionic Man. I don't know if you can read that there, but that's because I don't think it was officially licensed. And of course, this very iconic belt buckle. So I love these. And then this third one kind of talks about what I've been doing a lot during the pandemic in kit bashing and making my own figures. So this sculpt was commissioned by a friend of mine named Matt, and it was painted by an incredibly talented artist named Rusty. Rusty DeMonte. He does a lot of Wonder Woman stuff. He's done a lot of stuff for me. And you have a lot you'll see throughout these cases, but he did this guy and we added the mustache because I love season 4 with the mustache. And I did him in a more modern outfit, but it's like super fun to just kind of create your own action figure. So that's a figure like that nobody else has. And that's kind of become my thing, especially I found a lot of solace during the pandemic, working in a hospital. From day one, it was just crazy, intense, weird time. And so to be able to come home and like sit down and dress an action figure and just like create something that's beautiful art was, I think, a really cool way to kind of deal with what was happening out there, going to work. And granted, I wasn't in a patient, I'm administration, so I wasn't like in patient rooms and things like that, but you really feel the energy. And so you come home and you're just completely drained. And so to lose yourself in something as non-real as a 40-year-old TV show really does, it says a lot. People might think we're silly, frivolous, collecting toys and devoting an entire room in my house to them, but it really does take you to a place that it's beauty. I think it's art. I think it's, as much as people collect paintings, these are pieces of art as far as I'm concerned. So I am going to jerk around a little bit. We're going to go to the other side of the room.
Ooh.
And this is the Bionic section. So I'm going to start, and I hope, again, the mirror thing is throwing me, so forgive me if it's weird. And I'm reaching way up. Can you see them all?
Sure can. Sure can.
Yeah, they're great. So this is all the Kenner. So I have a lot of versions of the Kenner, like the guy I showed you when we were there. And so there's the store-bought ones, like Cam right there with the engine block. You saw him a few minutes ago. The second edition over here, the red with the girder. And then the third edition, the red with the stripes there in the back. Those are all store-bought. And then, of course, we've got the parachuting outfit, the spaceship, the ones with all of his, I don't know if the legs are showing there, but he has custom legs. Those are pieces of the one I bought in 1990. I recognize the melting on his neck. And then this denim suit, which of course was very Lee Majors, right? I added a turtleneck to even make it more 70s. And then I had a couple custom made, like this guy, once again, there's that khaki outfit. And then my friend Steve, who does who's done a lot of my Bionic Woman restorations, which I'll show. He made this guy. He filled in the eye and gave him an actual eye. And again, he made this jacket, which was famous for. Actually, Farah was in one of the early publicity shots with Lee wearing this jacket. No, Farah wasn't wearing it. Lee was wearing it, but she's one of the four. That early image where there's four beautiful women on him when they were trying to make him like James Bond. And Farah was
I know. Yep, I sure have. I have bunches of them.
And then, of course, some of the accessory characters was beautiful. Oscar Goldman. We all recognize him as the stalwart boss. He came with the super cool toy, the exploding briefcase. And you can see there it's all disheveled. So there's a special way to open it so you get files. And then if you're a bad guy, you don't know how to open it and it explodes. So it's a pretty cool accessory for what could have been a really boring character for a kid. Because, I try not to think about some of these from a collector perspective, but more of playability. And, when you look at Oscar Goldman, you're like, yeah, it looks like Richard Anderson, but a kid does not care about that. So they had to come up with something that really worked. And fun fact on this, there actually was a life-size prototype of the exploding briefcase that was given to Richard Anderson. Wow. And I don't know what's happened to it since he died. Yeah, but I don't know if it actually exploded, but I think might have. But I know that there was a prototype made life-size and given to him, which I think is pretty cool. And then the last one for Steve is the two villains, of course, Bigfoot, which that's probably one of my most rare collectibles, is him. He's got I don't know if you can see the chest thing. Steve can punch him and that chest piece flies off and you see his bionics. And he's one of the most rare pieces. And then, of course, Maskatron, based on the John Saxon character in one of the episodes, Return to the Robot. I'm sorry, Robot Man. They call him Maskatron, though. So and I have a few more pieces, but I don't have them all out. So that's the Kenner boys. And then, of course, I'm starting to really finally get the Kenner Jamie Summers going. So back here, we have first edition with her iconic sweatsuit that here's a fun trivia fact. So Lindsay Wagner wore that tracksuit in all 3 seasons, one time at least, but Jamie Summers only wore it twice. I know, you're like, how is that possible?
How is that possible?
Because in season 2, it was her lookalike Lisa Galloway who wore it. Because they did an episode, it's the one she won her Emmy for. Lindsay Wagner won the Emmy for the imposter episode, and it was the imposter that wore the sweatsuit, not her. So useless trivia, do with it what you will.
It's great, thank you.
Then the second edition, so they tried to so it was interesting about the first edition, she didn't really come with anything. It was, she does a noise, which I'll show you with the other one, but for her bionic ear, and she's got like visible modules, but she didn't come with any accessories, right? And so I think to make her more playable, and also to get you interested further in the toy line, they came out with the second edition, and they put her in a jumpsuit, which she never really wore these kind of things. She wore a black one in a couple episodes, and then this gigantic suitcase-like purse, which was her mission purse, and it had things like makeup in it and money and maps. And so it added a little bit of playability, but it is what it is. And then finally, probably my most coveted Bionic Woman piece right here, and you recognize that face, I bet, the Fembots. And So here's what a dork I am about TV shows. So this Fembot doll came with two faces, so a generic face, and it also came with a Jamie Summers face, which I don't have. And I don't care to get the Jamie Summers face because there was never a Jamie Summers robot. And that kind of thing just irritates me. So I know, I know, right? That's because I'm such a nerd about these TV shows. But like, there was never a Jamie robot, so I don't really care. But I think they captured the face. It's one of the most iconic episodes, I think, of the whole series because it had both of them in it, Steve and Jamie, and they're just terrifying. And then finally, I'm continuing on. So this one right here in this kind of white and pink dress, this was the one from the 1990 excursion to the New York City vintage store. And she's been redressed. She came in a blue jumpsuit originally. That was a hot mess. So I've since got rid of it. And she was restored just about a year or two ago by my friend Steve, who I mentioned. He fixed her hair with one of those. I mean, you know, you've dealt with Charlie's Angels dolls and stuff. They can get those super rat's nest heads of hair. He was able to tame it down to that and calm it down. And he made this dress for her, which was actually based on a real outfit from the episode. And another thing about the Bionic Woman line that bugged me is she came with a whole line of fashions that looked nothing like she would ever wear in the show.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't really have any of them. And my friend Steve, who lives down there in your area, he has made a lot of outfits based on, he's done like 20 different outfits that are based on the show. And I have a couple. The second one is this one that he did based on one of my favorite episodes of the show called Deadly Missiles that Lee Majors was on as well. And so it's a riff on that outfit. So that's kind of where I'm at Jamie Summers right now. I have one that's lost somewhere in the post office that's coming to me. She'll be restored and Steve's going to be making another outfit. So I'm kind of expanding my Jamie section now. That's kind of my latest. As you can see, I only have 4, now 5 of Ken or hers, but I have like 11 of Steve. So I gotta not be so sexist and balance, right?
Well, and they're not very cheap. I mean, Bionic Man and Bionic Woman are not a cheap product to purchase.
And they've really, in the last year, really kind of blown up. That's why it's funny you say that, because my friend Stu and I were talking about that the other day. And he's like, he said he used to be able to snap them up really cheap because they would be so awful. But he said even the awful ones are getting more and more. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, my household, if I spend too much on these figures, I get a raised eyebrow and a dirty look. And so then the last part of the Bionic shelf is really I started to kind of go custom on stuff. So these are like various 8-inch ones, so Mego size. There were a couple of official releases. So like this guy back there with his chest showing with the drawn on hair. Can you see the drawn on hair? It's pretty hilarious.
I can.
But it doesn't look like Lee Majors. And then there was a second version right here, also didn't look like Lee Majors, but they came dressed in really cool clothes. So in the last few years, a guy named Bionic Joe did these really cool sculpts. My friend Gary painted them up for me. And then I just repurposed, it's this one. I repurposed the outfits. And once again, you can see the belt buckle, the iconic khaki outfit. And then just in the last couple of weeks, I've actually gotten this guy, a brand new sculpt on him. I love the blue turtleneck and the kind of reddish brown pants. It just screams 70s to me. And then I repurposed the last khaki I had for this guy. And then that same company did do, what was interesting is Steve's not great, but the Oscars and the accessory pieces were actually really good. So you've got Bigfoot there, who looks pretty good. Oscar Goldman looks just like him. They did finally release sunglasses, although the briefcase doesn't explode, unfortunately. And then they really knocked it out of the park with her. That's a sculpted face on an 8-inch figure. So that's pretty darn impressive. And then here's an ugly secret. I needed a Jamie, and they've never done one. So this is to show you to go back to our earlier discussion, the Mego TV show characters that they released. One of them was the Facts of Life. And this was allegedly Blair Warner.
I was just going to say that looked like Blair Warner, right? Yes. I did. I was going to.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything like Lisa Whelchel. And I thought it resembled a Jamie Summers drawing from a cover of a comic book they did. So in my mind, that's how I justified saying, I'm going to put her in a jogging suit and call her Jamie Summers so that she's there. So there you have it. And then finally, a Rudy Wells. And I forgot to dig out the heads, but this came with 3 heads, which seems kind of maudlin, right? It came with Martin E. Brooks, who was the 3rd guy to play Rudy Wells. It also had one that looked like Martin Balsam, you know, actor Martin Balsam. So he played Rudy in the movie. And then Alan Oppenheimer, you know, he's a pretty famous guy from that time. He was the Rudy for the first couple seasons until Martin E. Brooks. So he came with all 3 heads. I should have got them out, but they're buried away somewhere. And then finally, there's some just little teeny guys that came out. These are recent, just from a few years ago. A little Bigfoot, and then a blue suit, Steve. They didn't sell very well, so the line didn't go any further. And then, of course, this is awesome. This was a Hallmark Christmas ornament, and he actually plays. You probably can't hear that, but he plays the theme. Steve Austin. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's the speech from the $6 Million Man opening. So dork, I'm a dork, I know. And then last section, the customs. So these are this first guy, the shirtless guy. Look at that. By the way, he's anatomically correct, which is very weird. I've always wondered why some of these are. Yeah, very strange. But hairy chest. But the red one I showed you a few minutes ago on the other cupboard, he came with a 2nd head. So I created this guy because he's got the funny eye. They took some liberties there. And so I created just my own action figure with, look at this, Nikes that actually tie. I just thought that was pretty hilarious. And then just some real customs. And I've gone super into detail on these, I apologize. But this one was season 5. He was actually a Fall Guy head, but he hits the same hairstyle he had in season 5, so I call it the season 5 version. And then a couple of mustaches. You can tell I like the mustache versions. This one is actually like very much like an outfit he wore in season 2. He pleaded for Jamie Summers to become Bionic. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to move on.
Okay, let's move on. What's next?
A couple of fun things I want to show you. These, not figures, but really my partner made these for me. These are 2 covers of greeting cards he gave me with birthday cards. So we have this one, which is an actual cloth t-shirt or actual cloth dress shirt that's opening. And then this one is this cool like laser cut image of Clark turning into Superman. And he like dug these out of the drawer where I keep all the cards, and unbeknownst to me, took them, bought shadow boxes, mounted them against color paper, and created these shadow boxes. And it was one of the coolest gifts I've ever gotten. So I thought that was a very thoughtful thing for a collector. Isn't that cool? And then, of course, the Superman light on the wall. So now we move on to a section I think you're going to love, the TV show section. These are the action figures from the TV shows. And, of course, these 4 ladies are the ones that started it all, right? We have, and don't look too close at their outfits. They're a hot mess. I really need to like figure out how to replace them.
Well, they didn't really give a very nice outfit anyway in the get-go, so.
Yeah, they didn't. And I have some of the other ones. I have like that pink frilly one that looks like a nightgown, the black and silver one. I had them in that for a while, and then these just made it easier to display. And so these are their Sabrina, Kelly, and Chris, and Jill. That's the theme song from the commercial.
I know. Yes,
Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels. Thank you for doing that. Of course you will. If anybody would
know that. And just a little side note, those dolls were also the ones who started my second time I started collecting majorly.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. So it's like we have a little connection there.
We do.
That's cool. Yeah, I just, part of this was I was never allowed to have like some stuff like this or the Jamie Summers as a kid. Because
we were boys, right? We couldn't have adult toys.
Oh, my dad and I fought so hard over, because to me it wasn't about the gender thing. It was like I had all these $6 Million Man toys. They introduced Bionic Woman. It just seemed logical I would get a Bionic Woman. And we fought, and he said, nope, that's a girl's toy. You're a boy. And I'm like, whatever, man. And so now it's kind of been this like going back and getting all these things now as an adult. And then as we talked about, I do have them out here, so you're going to love this. So I think Chris is passable. The Sabrina. So she's going to become a Donna Troy doll. I'm having this dude made right now. And then this one, you're going to laugh at this one. So I used up the ones, I had 2 of the ones that were released as Kelly Garrett, and I turned them into Wonder Woman, which you'll see in a minute. So I had this, wow. I'm sure you can recognize the face on her, right? It's a the head from an old Wizard of Oz Dorothy Amigo.
Oh, okay. Because I'm
And she does look
confused.
like Judy Garland, right?
I'm sorry. I'm just scared of the Sabrina. She's just so scary.
Yes. Uh, uh,
But it's weird when I purchased the Sabrina, they all look different. By the way, if you didn't see them in Target, I mean the Sabrinas all had a different face look sometimes, and I
they
got
kind of
one
do.
that was a little less. That's just
She's
scary.
not great. She reminds me of. Do you watch Supergirl on the CW?
No.
Oh, she looks just like the woman who plays Alex Danvers. So I was like, I could make an Alex Danvers out of her, but nobody really knows that.
TJ, if we could just move on from those, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Nicely, thank you.
Yeah, and then of course Farah. Yeah, Farah. I'm sorry, I get too lost.
I've never asked someone to move on from a collectible item in my life, but
just because she's so ugly, or a time.
No, just she's so ugly.
Oh, gotcha. Will this make it a little more palatable? I love Farah. I'm sorry, this destroying mirror. I don't know how to really fix that, but
no, you're perfectly fine. It doesn't look a mirror on this side, so don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, cool. So Farah, what's interesting is they released her in this pose, but it's impossible to even begin to pose her like that because of the way the legs are. So I kind of did the best I could because it doesn't look very ladylike when you try to bend legs. So I used the poster to try to kind of cover up how vulgar it is. But I actually like the rendering of it. I think for an inexpensive 8-inch figure, it's not bad. Now, I don't know why I had to get these for, but the Golden Girls are there. I just thought they were kind of fun, and the Game Boy in me was like, yes, let's get these. Fun fact about these, the Dorothy is actually on a man's body. On a man's figure.
Okay.
You can put her on a man's body to make her bigger, and she actually has a six-pack. Maybe after I'll show it to you. But yeah, it's pretty funny. I think for the later releases, they changed that because they got a lot of grief for it. But they're not
so it
super
came like that. You're saying it came like that?
Oh, it did, yeah. They put her on. They put a man's body on her, and so yeah, and then they added like feminine hands and the head sculpt. That's why she's taller. And then I think they use one like a child body for Sophia. So while I appreciate the idea, it's just kind of funny. She's like super jacked. And then just some of the Migos I did like. I thought they knocked it out of the park with Jeannie. I thought she looked pretty good. Samantha and Dora, and of course Serena, and then of course the rest of the '70s stuff. Sonny and Cher, Migo, Lucy, a 50s stuck in there. Some of these are a hoot. Laverne and Shirley. Not another one, not super attractive right there. Penny Marshall, not awesome. I think they really knocked it out with Lenny and Squiggy, though. I don't have his leather jacket, unfortunately. But and then this was probably one of my other favorite TV shows, right up there in the top 10 when I was a kid, the Donnie Marie Show. And these are, and he has, I don't know if you can see him, purple socks. Awesome. That was important. That. I wasn't going to buy him without the purple socks.
I was going to pull out my Donnie. I couldn't find it. And Donnie actually signed my Donnie. So
shut up. Oh, I would love to meet Donnie.
I met Donnie and Marie a couple times.
Are they cool? They cool?
Very cool. They're very cool.
Awesome. That's what I need to hear.
I like them.
And then another area I know you're going to enjoy. This is the Wonder Woman that got me back into Wonder Woman. I don't think she's awesome, but I think my friend Rusty may take a run at her face. I'm going to ask him if he'd be interested in maybe doing a repaint on her, but I like the suit. I like the body. Finally, I got her. You want to talk about expensive collectibles, the Migo Linda Carter. I like the way they painted her on. So I restored her. She was in pretty rough shape. I got her at this amazing store in Santa Rosa, for anybody in the Bay Area, called Bat Cave. It's really a good store. Saw her there, took her home, had to add boots, had to add bracelets, had to add her a tiara and the lasso. But the shorts were the hard thing to get, and luckily she had those. So she's good to go. Her hair is a little on the bad side, but I tamed it the best I could. And then, of course, Barbie. I didn't do a lot of the Barbies because I don't love them all, but she is okay. Now, you're going to love this guy. This is my new guy, this new one. She's my newest that I just finished, completed a couple weeks ago. So she's the new 8-inch body that they just released of Wonder Woman. And a guy named Chad Gordy did this amazing Linda Carter sculpt. And doesn't it look just like her? And my friend Rusty painted it.
It's great.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's gorgeous.
Now, and then this one is kind of fun too. You recognize her, right?
Of course.
That's the Kelly Garrett. Well, the first Kelly Garrett I bought had this weird short flip. To your point, they were kind of different. And this one had this short hair. And I looked at her and said, she looks like Wonder Woman from the Super Friends with that flip. And so I decided I was going to make her into a Wonder Woman. And I went out and bought a Kelly with longer hair. And then because I didn't really think she looked like Kelly or didn't really need her to be Kelly, I decided to turn the long hair one into the CVS version of Diana Prince and just put her in a couple of the Mego outfits and dress her up. And then I got this guy to be, of course, Steve Trevor. But he's more like the comic book with the blonde hair. Although I'm going to turn him into Wonderlad here pretty soon, who is a character from one of the comics. And then just a couple more 8-inch versions, just kind of generic versions. This is the Mego that I used for the Linda Carter one you just saw. And then, of course, a modern version. These are from the Wonder Woman 84 movie, which I won't say much on the movie, but Linda Carter's appearance made my life complete. So I'm okay with that.
True.
And
yes,
she's probably going to be in the third one.
I hope so.
So these are some of the remnants of my last Wonder Woman collection that I'm reaching. So let me know if this gets hard to see. But some of the artwork, of course, one of the few Linda Carter items, and truly a beautiful statue. You can't tell me you can't look at her and not use the word statuesque.
I've said it to the face, I believe.
I got to freak dance with Linda Carter once. That's my one with greatness. She was playing Feinstein's up here, and we went to the concert, and we were kind of on the side. And she comes out in the audience and is dancing around, and she kind of backs up to me, and so I'm like, all right. So I put my arm around her waist, and I totally freak danced her, and so she's probably like calling me cops or something, but we chatted about it after. She's like, oh, that was fun, and that was the end of it. But
that's fun.
Yeah, so that's my moment of greatness, but because I'm obsessed with her. I think she's wonderful.
She is.
And then I have my Wonder Woman Christmas ornament that is also Linda Carter. We've seen a little bit more of her the last couple of years. I know she's super protective with her likenesses, which might be why we haven't seen as many products. I know of at least 2 companies that had announced Linda Carter dolls that never came to be. And rumor has it that she would not sign off on the likeness. And even, let me jump around. Oh, sorry to go back, but this one, I know they had to redo it like 2 times before she was happy with it. And that's an official Mattel release. So who knows what's true. This is the one that started all this Wonder Woman the first time, because this was based on the art of Terry and Rachel Dodson. I think it's one of the most beautiful renderings beyond Linda Carter. I like the suit, and I especially like the way they did the face. So they did this one up here, the big statue, and then of course they did her. She's been broken, so don't judge me. But
not judging.
And then of course Super Friends. You and I are of similar age, probably. That was one of our first experiences with Wonder Woman, so I have a couple of those. So, and then verging from that, I'll just show you quickly the superhero shelf. So this is funny because you'll see what I've done with some of the 8-inch Megos that came out with from Target. So you can see there's Fonzie as Shazam.
I love it.
Scott Baio finally giving something good to the world as Shazam Jr. This was supposed to be Kelly Bundy. I'm not clear how that came to be, but I thought she made a great Supergirl. And then the rest are new releases, Flash. Actually, I got this Greatest American Hero and a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff came there, and he was a welcome surprise because he's really hard to get. And then finally this was one of the Charmed figures I made into Isis, right? And then we have more. And then the big superheroes that kind of started a lot of that. Okay, we're going to do like a journey to the other side of the room. You can kind of see just above my window, I have some my lunch boxes, some bank stuff. Not much to concentrate on there, but then we get to, so forgive me if it's jerky. I'm going to go here first. This is the Superman stuff we're starting to get into now. So these are all my 8-inchers that have come in various forms. A lot of ones I've made up, put together. You can see different versions. This is probably one of my favorite sections right here because it's all Christopher Reeve, who really is. These are custom made heads. So this is by my friend Lee Taylor, did this one. Chad Gordy did this one, painted by my buddy Rusty. I think it looks just like him. And then Mezco did this one just a couple months ago. This came out with the light up base.
They do excellent work, your friends.
They really do. Yeah. I've latched onto them, and they're so amazing. I'm jealous of their talent because, I mean, beyond dressing them, that's the end of my art ability. I can't even style the hair. I mean, I don't know if you were looking at some of my Charlie's Angels there, but they've seen better days. And then the Henry Cavill section here, got a homemade one of Henry. My friend Lee Taylor did that one as well. And he did this whole figure of Cavill turning into Clark Kent. And then a black version of the Henry Cavill as well. And then I threw in a couple big ones here too. This is the black suit version with the newest Superman. So this is the likeness of Tyler Hoechlin, who plays the new Superman on CW. It's pretty solid likeness by an artist named Mila. And then this one's pretty sweet too. This came in with the Hot Toys. And so I use that same body. You might recognize the hairy chest, also anatomically correct. But I used it for the light up head. This is when Henry is reborn in Justice League. So hence the dark pants and shirtless. And then this is kind of an interpretation of the Zack Snyder's. An artist named Hendy made this outfit, and it's the Hot Toys head. So pretty fun stuff there. Just a little section here of little bitty action figures and ornaments that I kind of make look like action figures. So those are fun. All right, 2 more areas to look at. The last is the rest of the Detolf collection. So these are really fun artistic ones too. Henry Cavill from the Man of Steel. Really solid likeness of him. That's a Hot Toys product. This guy, Brandon Routh, from the, I think, highly underrated Superman Returns. I thought he was a really nice follow-up to Superman. My friend Tails made the outfit, and then a guy named Waruna did the sculpt, and Rusty painted him again. So pretty solid look. And then I made my own Clark Kent out of the Hot Toys, Christopher Reeve, and that's a really beautiful likeness of him. Sorry for the jerkiness. Oh, this is the so I kind of consider the Hot Toys. I call these the 1/6 section because they're all the fancy art ones. This guy is what really started it. My friend David had posted this on his Facebook page, and I became obsessed and had to have it. And it's the Hot Toys version of Christopher Reeve. And I think when you just look at that face, right, it's just takes you back to the late 70s, doesn't it? Early 80s, yep. And it really is a solid likeness. Henry Cavill from the first Justice League, the Joss Whedon version. And then another of Brandon. This is from his latest when he appeared in the CW crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he played Kingdom Come Superman. So he got to close the loop on being Superman, and Uprise Customs did a really amazing look. Isn't that a cool figure? Super high quality.
Yeah, it is.
Just a few more. I know. This is my favorite section. I like to sit and just look at them. So it is right across from where I sit and watch TV. This is another one of Tyler Hoechlin from the when he was on Supergirl. That's the way his suit was. This is a custom. So a guy named Rocco did this face sculpt, and my friend Rusty painted him. Beautiful likeness of Henry. And then another one of Henry Cavill in a classic suit. And finally, and I'm on the floor, so if this gets hard to see, let me know. Another Chris Reeve with a custom face. This guy is a comic book version. And then finally a Henry Cavill. And he's wearing like a very rubber-looking suit, which is pretty cool. Woohoo! Okay, we're going to move around to the last section.
Very cool. Lots of great things. Oh, we're going to another section. Oh, my goodness.
This is the end.
You are a little obsessed with the Superman.
Yeah, so it's just a few more. I won't spend too much time on these. This is the one that started the Superman collection right here. So he's the guy, and then they re-released it as New 52. I have this on here because I actually had this lunchbox as a kid, and then they did a Christmas ornament of it a couple years ago, and of course I had to have it. Wonder Woman Superman. And then just the end of the Superman stuff here. These are all the little 7-inch ones, and as well as some other. And then back to the TV show stuff. So this is one of probably my weirdest pieces, I think, and he's awesome. Remember the show V? And they were lizards, and so you can rip this head off, and he has, as the only figure they did, they didn't do any collectibles. And then you'll probably recognize some of these guys. Starsky and this is not Starsky. Actually, this is the Duke Boys, Mork, Boss Hogg. Rocky wasn't on TV, but I just thought he was a cool action figure. So Star Trek. I have a bunch more Star Trek. I have a whole Star Trek set up at my office. So I have a bunch of action figures in my office too. So they're not home, but I do have some extras. They're here. Richie, the original Fonz with, I don't think you can see him, but he has thumbs that rise. One of the only contributions I really liked from the new Mego was Cliff and Norm from Cheers. I thought they actually did get pretty decent likenesses of these two. And of course, in the back, Potsy, the most handsome person on Happy Days, I think. And then just a few last minute things. These are just some extra pieces. My partner gave me this Batmobile, so he gets a prominent place there. Shazam, a little bit of Marvel. Notice there's been very little Marvel, but there is some of that there. Of course, I have to have a Jason Momoa Aquaman. Right? Yes. Come on, man. And I'm not sure. I'm going to turn on a little bit of light because this one, this is the rest of the TV show characters here. So we've got the Chips, right? Punch John and Sarge, and then one of the cops from the SWAT collection, and then, of course, the Starsky and Hutch figures, complete with the Gran Torino.
Nice job, right? On those. Those are sweet, yeah.
Yeah, that's super fun. I got all of those, and that lot of stuff I got that had like the Race American Hero. It had the Gran Torino, which is really hard to come by. I had the zombie Chips characters, but these were non-zombie ones, so I of course changed them out because some of the later Mego editions turned gray. So some of the Chips figures, some of the Dukes of Hazzards, their face will turn really gray.
I know. So luckily was able to. Jacqueline became a zombie too.
Did she really? Oh no.
Farah doesn't seem to turn into zombies, but the Jacquelines do all the time.
Oh gosh, I better keep an eye on mine then. And then that, my friend, is the end. Although there is two other collectibles I have to show you that are super important. Of course.
What's that?
The Angelic Heaven book, which
is a collectible because I haven't reissued it yet.
Yeah, I love this book, and then of course the Q Guide to Wonder Woman, which I had to pull both of those
which is turned into the Channel Surfing Wonder Woman, which is out now if you would like to purchase it.
Oh, that's good to know. And I'm going to try and turn it back around. That, my friend, is it the same book? Or,
it's the same book. And Allison Publishing went under, and I got the rights back. And Linda does an interview in it, and there's new stuff in it. It's not as much as the Charlie's Angels when I got the Q Guide of Charlie's Angels back, but that turned into a bigger book. But
I haven't got that one yet, so I'll have to get that. But I do love Angelic Heaven. I'm sure if people can find it. What I love about this is that it has tons of pictures and it has a really good guide to the collectibles, which I think
it does.
It kind of helped me figure out like what I'd be interested in finding.
So, what is the most expensive piece in your collection?
You know, it would be something in like some I don't know how much they were because they were kit bashed and it's probably not good to know. Like the store-bought ones now. Probably the Christopher Reeve as Superman. That's a pretty tough one to get now and can go up into a few $100s. That Brandon Ralph that I did from Kingdom Home, he was kind of an expensive piece in and of himself. And then those two Steve Austins I showed you that were so lifelike, they've gotten really collectible because there were so few of them. There was only about 150 of them. But what scares me is some of these other ones because I'll be like, oh, it's a cheap way to do it. And I'll buy the suit, I'll buy the body, I'll buy the head, I'll get the head painted. Suddenly you've spent a few $100 and you're like, oh dear, I better hide this.
So, okay, so the question is, you told us the weirdest one was the V character. Now, what one, if I could tell you, you can only have one item in that whole room to keep, what one would it be?
Oh man.
I know. Your life depends.
It would have to be probably one of the $6 Million Man. And, I would almost, from a purely nostalgic shopper, probably keep one of the original Kenner ones.
Okay.
As much as I think it's less about value for me, and more about that's what triggered this love of collecting. And so probably like a version of this guy right here, that it's just, this would be it, because this is 10-year-old me or 8-year-old me or however old I was doing that. So, but please don't ever make me be that.
I won't. That was just a question because you already answered my other question. So where do you usually buy your collection? Are you mostly on eBay now, or do you go for a hunt on the weekends?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't do that, and I wish I could, because people find really good stuff there. I've kind of gotten off the eBay stuff just because I think it's become so. eBay's turned into just another commerce area, whereas I think in the early days it really was just people selling collectibles, and now it's people with businesses, and there's a lot of like knockoffs and things that aren't the same. So, and they're not great deals on there anymore like there used to be. I troll them occasionally for for some of the Superman, the Bionic stuff, but there just isn't good deals. Facebook Marketplace, I've gotten a few good, like the Christopher Reeve. I actually got him kind of by accident. Like somebody was advertising him on there, and it was reasonable but kind of expensive, but nobody bid. And he like reduced it, and I was like snapped it up, and now it goes for like twice as much. Yeah. So stuff like that is reasonable. The best luck I've had though is really joining groups, and like the Charlie's Angels group, and Mego has groups, and there's of course Bionic and Superman and 1/6. There's a lot of different kind of action figure groups out there, and I think that's where people, because I feel like there's a real community, and this sounds super nerdy, and forgive me, but there is like a community in the collectors, right? And so I don't feel like a lot of times they're out to gouge each other in the way that maybe somebody who's on eBay doing it, because you'll see some ludicrously priced things. I mean, I'm sure you know. Oh, yeah. And it's just, you're like, yeah, because like I know, like with Charlie's Angels, for example, I was at one point interested in getting the 12-inch. The Farah, as much I've seen that Farah look good if the hair's done right, but there's a Kate, there's a Cheryl, and the Mego Jacqueline, forget about it. They're just ridiculously priced, and I just haven't had to go there. Or that Farah Barbie that was so gorgeous, that I thought looked just like her.
The Jacqueline I was talking about, that's the one that her face turns different colors. The large.
I didn't realize the 12-inch did that. That's a shame, because she's one of the most expensive, I think, of that line. Like Farah and Cher are pretty easy to come by, but like I don't know if just because they didn't sell as much back then as the Farah did.
From my understanding, the doll has leprosy, so maybe that's the reason why.
It was like an extra with bonus leprosy.
Bonus leprosy. 20 years.
It was the second edition.
20 years later, when you have a collectible and you spend $200 on it, it doesn't look like her anymore. Doesn't look like her.
It's funny that it's because it's so interesting with these toys, like the ones that are actually from the time. Like it's funny, like the Jamie Summers, for example. It was such a loosey-goosey doll in and of itself, like the feet spin around, and it's so it's funny to think, because they weren't making these toys for 50-year-old nerds to be treating like collectibles, right? They were disposable, and some of them you can really tell, like if there would be some, if I like sneezed or there was a mild earthquake, they would just collapse, because they're like one of the Duke boys, for example, is standing on a broken leg, because the Mego is famous for the pegs coming apart, and like I said, Jamie is barely in there, and one of my angels has really loose hips, so she won't stand. So it's just so interesting to how people, especially when they have like a lot of artistic talent, can really turn them into something that looks like a super high-end collectible, and you're like, whoa, how did that happen? I wish I could sew or paint or style hair or anything.
So I just marvel at what people purchase and what they can do, and I'm like, that's great. I'll just have
especially
my doll in my van that has her leg off. That doesn't.
Dude, the van. I kind of want the van. I mean, I've never really gotten into accessories, but there are a handful of accessories I would like, and the Charlie's Angels van is one, because I think some of the toys that these, like Bionic Woman had the ridiculous Bionic beauty salon, and then and a bath and shower thing. And I'm like, what does that have to do with Bionic Woman? But Charlie's Angels made me laugh too, because the van that actually just says Charlie's Angels on it. I'm like, that is a super good cover vehicle. And the tree house. I'm like, when did they ever, or the hideaway house? Well, like, when did they ever live in a house together? So, but it's like, again, they weren't making it for TV True collectibles. It was, but it's
they definitely weren't
funny.
making for, for the older people who are watching actually the shows either, which is fun.
Right.
A lot of these shows. I mean, Bionic Woman and Bionic Man were definitely childhood, kind of focused on kids, but they always had a good story. You
Right.
learn something from them. But
Although it's interesting to your point, because we talked about Charlie's Angels a little bit, and $6 Million Man too, in their early episodes, like Charlie's Angels, was a little heavier of a theme, and really were geared less for kids. Like, I watched some of those first seasons, $6 Million Man. I'm like, a couple of them get really kind of dark, and you're like,
yeah,
that person died. I mean, that would, a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old kid.
And take the first season of Wonder Woman. It's all set in World War II, and that's not no happy time.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, because it's the Nazis are not a lighthearted theme, and yet, but kids don't understand the significance of taking them down, and it was I could see why they couldn't sustain that.
Yeah.
But do you like Wonder Woman from the first year better, or did you like when she went to CBS better?
CBS.
Me too. I like the costume better.
And she, different costumes, and I mean, I enjoyed part one. The first, season, or it's a kind of a season, because a lot of similar movies, and it's all over the place there. But
right.
Yeah, when they went more modern, she looked better in modern clothes.
Yeah, she really did. The costume fit better. I thought that first season costume was a little.
So
I mean, she can't not look gorgeous. Let's just say that. But
let's just say it's true. It's true.
But she pulled it off. Plus, I think her evolution as an actress was so interesting. Like, she evolved as Diana Prince evolved, which I thought was so interesting. Like, by mid season 2, she was badass, and you're like as Diana Prince, I wonder. And I love when she would get snarky and sit down, ladies, and you're like, oh, okay. But whereas the early one, she's very that kind of lighter, more comic booky vibe, which played it weird against the Nazi theme. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad they didn't. Yeah. And plus, it had to be terribly expensive.
I'm sure. So is there something out there that you're looking for to add to your collection?
There's a couple things. I would love in the 1/6, the real lifelike vibe. I would love a really good Lindsay Wagner, Jamie Summers one. And I really want to get my hands on a Linda Carter as Wonder Woman one. There's some out there, like some artists are making them. They're just super high end, but they're absolutely stunning, because they really capture the Linda Carter likeness well. I got my hopes up because one company announced it. They were going to do a 12-inch, very lifelike Wonder Woman, and it just never happened. And I saw the prototype. They were on the right track. They were doing the CBS version of the suit. It wasn't perfect, but the sculpt was weird, because it looked like they used Linda Carter now,
okay.
Which she's still gorgeous, but she definitely looks different, right?
Yeah.
And I think like she's had something with her teeth different, so it's just it was weird. It was like they put Linda now on her CBS body. So that might be why she didn't. My rumor has it she didn't like it, and that might be why it went away. And which good. I'm really glad she doesn't just sign off on, because she's so incredibly beautiful. But I really do want a very beautiful Linda Carter. And I could get one, but it'll be pricey, and it'll take a while, because the artists who do it are backed up for a year or two. Yeah, and they're backed up for a year or two, because they put out one picture of what they've done, and collectors like me just lose their collective minds. And we laugh about my friend Rusty, who did a number. You've heard me say his name a number of times. He does a lot of the painting, and he does some incredible Wonder Woman stuff. He's done handmade ones with like the suits, and they're gorgeous. But I laugh. I'm like, every time you put up a picture, you probably just get bombarded. And he's like, oh yeah, my Facebook. He just gets tons of messages, and he's such a good art. Like, these artists who do these, there's not something you crank out. So I would love to see. I can't believe Hot Toys has never gotten a hold of Linda Carter's
Yeah.
like this, because they did some gorgeous Gal Gadot. But those are probably for them. In terms of like a store produced collectible, not really. I think I've got everything that's out there. I mean, I would love to continue on with the Jamie Summers, expanding those. There is the Venus Death Probe from the $6 Million Man, which is more of a, it's not really a figure, but it was an accessory toy. But those are super rare, so I'll probably never get those.
Excellent.
And then the 12-inch Angels I mentioned, I would like to get them at some point.
So where can people reach you if they have those that you just mentioned that they want to give you or sell you or trade?
Oh, nice. Facebook TJ Istvan on Facebook. And yeah, I would love it. I would appreciate it. I'm always looking to buy stuff. I hope my partner doesn't watch this.
Oh no, I hope not so too. TJ, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, and thank you for all you did during the pandemic up there in San Francisco for those with the coronavirus and everything. We salute you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for what you do. This is a great venue, and I love getting to talk about this stuff. So thank you for having me on today.
It was great. I was speechless of especially some of the Superman and some of the Charlie's Angels. Like, not that Sabrina. I would take that.
I know. Well, I'll send you a picture. Yeah, I will. When I turn her into Donna Troy, I'll send you a picture and see if that's better.
Please do. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching the new edition of Collector's Haven. Please, if you like us, like it, share it. And if you have a collection out there, I would love to speak with you about it, because you know what? I love talking to collectors. I'm a collector, so let's talk about collecting. All right. TJ, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Take care.
Bye. Take care.